Okay, Ryan. Well, the MLB draft was just held really yesterday and started on Sunday. I'm sure that had to bring back a lot of memories for you when you got drafted out of high school in South Carolina. Talk about what your draft experience was like.
Well, it was an interesting one because Chris and I were talking, and he didn't really know or expect. He didn't really know or know what to expect where I was going to go in the draft. So he kind of just told me to be ready for all 3 days just in case. Personally, I didn't think I was going to go in the top 10 rounds, but who knows? Honestly, at any point in time, it could happen. But it was fun. Just sitting around watching with my parents and my brother, and I was actually going to the Carolina Country Music Festival that week, and most of the time I was there, I wasn't even paying attention to the concert. I was just looking at my phone to see if I got drafted or not. And luckily on the third day, before I left for the concert, it finally happened. And Chris was on the phone with me for a while, and he was telling me that they were taking me in the 27th round, and they were really happy to have me. And I was obviously super excited, and I knew I've always wanted to play Major League Baseball, and I got the opportunity, and I took the chance, and I'm always grateful for it. I never second guess my decision ever.
Well, I mean, you had a chance to go to Coastal Carolina where your brother was a pitcher. So,
yep.
I mean, that was something you had to factor in as well. Do you want to get a college education, or you obviously met your asking price in the end that the Blue Jays did get you to sign on the bottom line, but how tough a decision was that for you?
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, obviously playing with my brother in college would have been really fun, but he as I did always wanted to play pro baseball. So he even told me, he's like, just go do it, have fun, just experience it, do whatever you can. And I luckily in my contract, I have school paid for, so I have an opportunity to go back to school, and that really is what set me to choose to go play pro ball, is that I know I have a backup option and I can go back to school if needed. But it really wasn't a tough decision for me. I've always wanted to play pro baseball, so I think once I got the opportunity, that kind of just escalated pretty quickly, and I just went and didn't look back from it.
Now, after you get signed, you report to Dunedin and all that. What was that whole experience like for you? I understand it's really a whirlwind experience, that everything just kind of happens at once, but what was that experience like when you look back on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got drafted, and the next day I left at 5 a.m. in the morning. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. It was eye-opening for sure. I didn't know what to expect. High school kid going into pro ball, just trying to make a name for himself. And I was really nervous, obviously, like everybody else is when they first get there. But the Blue Jays were really cool. Everybody in the front office is awesome. They're really nice people. Gil is amazing. Joe's amazing. And they made it a lot easier for the transition. All the coaching staff and stuff is super helpful, awesome people. And I've made some great friends here, coaching staff, players, everybody. It's been an amazing ride so far. And starting from day one to now, it's been completely different, obviously, but I wouldn't change it for one thing.
Well, you get your pro career started in 2016 and spent some time in the Gulf Coast League, or I heard one player call it a while ago, the Gulf Roast League.
Yeah,
getting to play in the heat and humidity of Florida. Talk about what your first season was like with the Gulf Coast League Blue Jays.
Honestly, it was a blur. It was pretty quick, 3 months. It was amazing. I had so much fun. Obviously, it was not the greatest conditions, but you're in pro ball for the first time. I think anything is fine. You could deal with whatever you have to deal with. But it was very eye-opening. I mean, obviously coming out of high school, facing, kids that are your age, but are throwing 99, 100 miles an hour, and just trying to acclimate to that, even catching it, it was kind of difficult. I'd never really caught anybody that threw harder than like 93. So I had to get used to that pretty quick. But, you know, once you do it for like a week or two, you get in the groove and you start, you know, finding the pace of the game again. And it got a lot better. And, you know, I had a pretty good season and I was happy with that. And, you know, just trying to find things to build on, obviously, every single year. And, you know, after that first season, I kind of had a good idea like what I needed to do, but, you know, I just enjoyed it. I just tried to take everything in and, you know, just thinking that I actually am like a minor league baseball player. And I was like, whoa, like this is like real life. This is pretty sweet. So it was fun though. I had a great time.
2017 saw you spend the year with the Bluefield Blue Jays. What was it like playing in the Appalachian League?
A lot different than anywhere else I've ever been in the United States, but it was awesome. Great group of guys. Dennis was the best manager. I think he made the season a lot more fun. You know, we won a ton of games. I think we won over 50 games that year, won the Mercer Cup. I think it was probably one of the most fun summers I've ever had playing baseball. And, you know, it was a big reason was the team. I think everybody on the team was just amazing. We got along really well. We gelled, we had great chemistry, and Dennis brought us all together. And I think that's what made it like probably one of the best summers of my life, honestly, is just being out in the middle of, you know, West Virginia with just the guys and just playing baseball. I think was the most fun that I've had in a while. And, you know, I enjoyed my time there for sure.
Well, one of the things about Bluefield is the rivalry with Princeton, the Rays affiliate. What was that rivalry like, being a part of that?
It was awesome. I mean, we swept the series. I think we went like 11-2, and you know, we won the Mercer Cup that year. And I think we knew how special it was to the Bluefield community and our GM Rocky, and you know, we wanted to win that. And I think that was one of the, you know, highlights of our summer for sure, was being able to sweep that series and bring the Mercer Cup back to Bluefield for sure.
Okay, so you got through Bluefield, and instead of maybe going to Vancouver, you wind up with the Lansing Lugnuts after you hit 302 with Bluefield. I mean, that's great for you because now it's your first taste of full season ball, and you've spent the previous 2 years with the Lansing Lugnuts. What was your time like in Lansing?
Amazing. Honestly, couldn't ask for a better place to be at and play baseball. The stadium's beautiful. The city is awesome. You know, everybody embraced the team. I think it was a great atmosphere there every single day. You know, everybody was just awesome. I mean, the baseball was good. It was definitely a step up from Bluefield. I had some learning curve and some adjustments that I needed to make, but once I got there and, you know, started to, you know, feel the flow of the game, like every time you move up, the flow is just a little bit different. And the speed of the game, like how you think, it's just a little bit better. You know, obviously now even here, it's a little bit different than in Lansing. But once I got my feet wet and, you know, started to play a lot and get a good feel for what I had to do, I thought I performed pretty well going up there. And then obviously going back in 2019, I was super comfortable, knew where everything was, knew what I, you know, was expected to do, and kind of knew what the league was like and who we were playing and like what the pitching would be like. But I mean, it was fun. I had a great time there. Met some awesome people, you know, enjoyed every single second I was there. Honestly, I couldn't ask for a better place to play also. I think honestly, the places we play at in the Blue Jays organization is top notch. I love them.
Wanted to ask you about, I guess, the best game you had with the Lugnuts, going for the cycle, that you managed to accomplish that. Now, I had read somewhere the double, there was some, I guess there might have been some question whether it was going to be ruled a double, but anyway, regardless, you got the cycle. What was that accomplishment like?
Oh, best night of my life. Honestly, couldn't ask for anything more. 7 RBIs with a grand slam and a cycle is probably one of the highlights, or is the best highlight of my career so far. And, you know, just experiencing that, going through that, being able to actually finish it off with the double, you know, I don't know. I mean, it was just a crazy night and everything was just going my way, I guess. And, you know, just it all fell into place. The double, honestly, they marked it an error first. It was a super windy night, and funny enough, so I'll give you a little backstory. My last at bat, they brought in a lefty to face me, and I was like, all right, lefty, whatever. I got to hit the double. I got to finish this off. And first pitch, I actually pop up to the third baseline, and it dropped. Like the third baseman didn't even touch it. And I'm walking back down first baseline, and Nick Podcool picks up my bat and he hands it to me, and he's like, well, now you just got to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I got to do it. And literally the kid threw the same exact pitch, up and away fastball, and I hit it down the line, and the wind was blowing towards center field. So the left fielder was playing me into a pool into the left center field gap. So he had to run quite a ways. I hit it literally right down the line, and the wind was blowing it back, and he was running into the line, and he didn't touch it. I honestly didn't see it. I only heard this from people, but apparently the kid didn't touch it, and the guy thought he did, but it dropped right in front of his feet. And Otto was on first base, and he like kind of backtracked. So I was like yelling at him. I'm like, go, 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 go. I didn't even care if he got thrown out at third base. I was like, getting to second base. I don't care what happens here. So when I get to second base, I look up at the scoreboard and it marked an error. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I put my hands up on my head. I'm like, there's no way it happened. And Dallas at third base is like, stay locked in. Like, we're still in the game. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. We're still playing. God, this isn't all about me. But after a couple boos, and some of the guys from down in the dugout were looking up at the press box, they were like throwing their hands up, like, what are you doing? They changed it like 2 pitch later to a hit. And that's how I got my cycle. So that was pretty interesting.
How are the legs feeling after that?
Great. I couldn't even feel my body. I was so excited.
Well, I just remember Riley Adams in a game here in Vancouver. He had a chance for the cycle. He was actually going for the triple, but he was thrown out. It was pretty close play, but yeah. He mentioned his legs getting a little tired after that, after being behind the plate for the entire day. So, but I guess obviously your legs were fine that night.
Luckily, I was DHing that night, and
Right.
I got my triple out of the way in the third inning, so we were good there. All I had to do was hit a home run and a double. But you know, it is what it is, and it happened, and I was super excited. And that was definitely one of the best highlights of my career for sure.
Okay, well, we get to 2020, and of course, there's no minor league season. How are you able to stay active and, you know, just kind of keep involved and try to keep motivated when there was no baseball to play in 2020?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was tough, obviously. Like, you kind of had to push yourself mentally just to get up and try and do stuff every day to keep yourself up to date. And, you know, you don't want to digress while you're at home. It's, you know, you have a whole year. We didn't know this, but we had a whole year basically to work on stuff, get better, try and, you know, improve whatever you can. I had a lot of stuff I had to work on, and personally, my throwing was one thing I really wanted to focus on. So I really changed a lot of mechanics and my throwing for catching. And this year it's working really well. I'm throwing out a lot more people, and, you know, my accuracy is way better than what it was in 19. And, you know, hitting, I went to a toe tap instead of a leg kick, and, you know, that's working out pretty well this year. Obviously, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you don't really want to change too much. But you know, just knowing that I had stuff that I needed to do, and, you know, I really did want to get better and improve, and I think that made it easier for me to go and grind it out every day. And luckily enough, I had a facility that I was working at, an indoor baseball facility, that allowed me to work out and train there every day. And, you know, I did lessons and stuff to make some money on the side, but mostly my intentions were to get myself better. And I have to thank Eric Holtz, who was my boss at Game On 13 in New York. You know, he really gave me everything I needed to succeed and actually, you know, get better every day while I was in there. And I had a ton of buddies that I hit with and caught bullpens, and, you know, I was really happy and grateful that they were there to help me out. And they really did help me out a lot. So this year has been great. all the adjustments that I've made have been for the best. And, I definitely use my time wisely for sure.
Okay. Well, as it turns out with the minor league restructuring, you do get to Vancouver. So we thought here in Vancouver, we weren't going to get to see you, but it turns out we do. Unfortunately, Lansing gets lost in the shuffle. They're now with the Oakland A's. So, having been to both ballparks myself, it was kind of a mixed reaction. Thrilled to have the Blue Jays still affiliated with Vancouver, but your thoughts on being in a Vancouver Canadians uniform, but not in Vancouver?
Yeah, honestly, I never thought I was going to play for Vancouver, and I was kind of sad, but all I heard was amazing things about Vancouver and playing there. And, we're here in Hillsboro. Hillsboro is great. They give us everything that we would need. Obviously, we've had to scramble to get some stuff, and, it's been a little weird, obviously, not playing at a home ballpark, and the fans here, we don't get a ton for our home games, but when we play the Hops like we are this week, like they sell out pretty well. But just hearing some stuff about us possibly going up back to Vancouver, like it could happen, it could not, we just don't know. So we're enjoying our time here, but we would love to get back to the home crowd up in Vancouver and play at the Nat, and definitely get a few, maybe 2 or 3 home series there, hopefully, but we'll see what happens. But we would really enjoy that for sure.
Okay, so you're now playing in the High A League, and Major League Baseball, they control everything now. They're trying out all sorts of rule changes, and certainly the one that's been prevalent in High A, with pitchers really unable to control the running game as much as they would like. And it leads to more work for you, having to try and throw out all these guys trying to steal. We saw Tanner Kerwer and Cameron Eden running wild in the base pass, and I'm sure it's definitely, that rule change has definitely made it a challenge for the catchers as well.
Yeah, it has in some sorts, and it hasn't. Honestly, it helps us out just because we know, they're going to steal. Like, we know they're going to steal. Like, they get 20-foot leads and they take off as soon as the pitcher lifts up his leg. It makes it difficult for us to throw a lot of people out, but it also makes it easier because we can't think about it. We just know it's going to happen, and we just got to catch it and throw it as fast as we can. And if they're safe, they're safe. If they're out, that's great. But as of yesterday, they changed the rule back to where pitchers can do pickoffs and not have to step off the back of the rubber. Lefties can do their normal stuff. So last night was a little bit different. It was a little bit more normal in the game flow of things. And, you didn't really have to just worry about every single person getting on first base and just taking off for second. And it makes the game calling a little bit better. And I think it's a little bit more challenging. But yeah, it was a definite, learning curve, because people just, you didn't even know who was going to steal, because everybody could have. Even some catchers and some, guys that you would never expect to steal were going, and some of them would catch you off guard, some of them wouldn't. But it was more normal than I thought it would be, and I didn't really think of it as like a, hindering what we were trying to do as a pitcher and catcher. It was more of trying to game plan for when more people are in scoring position, and what I have to call, trying to make them not score. I think that was the most difficult part of it, to be honest.
I wanted to ask you how you got into catching. There's a lot of responsibilities that come with the position, but how did it all start for you?
I was kind of forced into catching when I was 12. I was a lot shorter and a lot fatter, and I couldn't play shortstop anymore, according to my coaches. So they stuck me behind the dish, and honestly, I fell in love with it. I thought, being a part of every single play and every single pitch, staying locked in mentally and actually being able to control the game more. I had a lot of fun with it. And, my catching abilities definitely escalated pretty quickly once I started practicing it more, and I got pretty good at it. And, I saw a future with it. Instead of playing shortstop or pitching, I really just focused on catching, and definitely being a left-handed hitting catcher has its perks. And, my coaches, when I was little, are like, you want to play college baseball? Do you want to play pro baseball? I'm like, yes, of course I do. they're like, well, left-handed hitting catchers are always a need for everybody. And I'm like, are they? And they're like, yeah. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll catch. So that's pretty much how my catching career started. And after 12 years old, I never looked back and I just kept catching. So that's pretty much how it started. And, I'm actually very happy that I chose to change positions, and I'm where I'm at right now for sure.
Who really helped you develop as a catcher?
Tri-State Arsenal was where I first started catching, and they're a pretty big travel ball organization up in New Jersey. And Joe Barth, my catching coach, Rob Rifkin, they really were like my mentors for catching. They taught me pretty much everything I knew up until when I got to pro ball. Once I moved and left, I didn't really have a catching coach, so it was all on me. But definitely in my younger years, those two were a big part of my whole thing for catching. So thank you guys.
What is it that you like about catching the most?
Just being able to control everything, honestly. Not that I'm a control freak or anything, but knowing that, whatever I put down is how the game's going to go is pretty cool. Every pitch that I call, or every pitch that, the pitcher and I agree with, is an outcome that's going to happen in the game. And, if you're catching well and you're pitching well and you're calling a good game, the game's going to be really good. Obviously, they're not going to score a ton of runs, and that's always a great feeling. But, when it doesn't go your way, it's not fun. Being back there for like 4 hours, just getting every ball hit everywhere, that's not fun. But yeah, I mean, I think it just knowing that I control what happens during our half of the inning out on the field is my favorite part of it.
So that's what you like about catching the most. Now, how do you feel you've improved as a catcher since you've been with the Blue Jays organization? Where do you feel you've gained, in what area?
Everywhere. I have and had some pretty great catching coaches, coordinators, and they've definitely have improved a lot. I've changed completely since I've been to the organization. I was a raw catcher out of high school. I didn't really have a ton of, help or, critiquing. So everything I was doing was just pretty much raw ability. And then once I got here and started getting some coaching help and, just having them actually have a plan for me and, putting me on a path for success, I think has been really good for me, and I've improved a lot every single year. And, that's always the plan, is to improve something, 1-2 things a year. And I think I've been doing that pretty well.
Okay, I want to talk about what it's like for you as a catcher preparing on a game day. I mean, I know sometimes you get games at first base or DH or whatnot, but when it's your turn to catch, what's that whole day like for you, planning it out and I guess having a chat with your starting pitcher that night?
Yeah, it's a little different, obviously. Especially in a new series, like when you don't really know the hitters. Obviously now, like this time of year, like we pretty much have played every single team, so we know who they are, like what their hitters do. But usually when, you're preparing for a game, you're sitting down with the pitching coach, you're sitting down with your pitcher. I talk to my catching coach, Danny. We talk about some things, we go through some videos, and we just talk about tendencies for hitters. We talk about like first pitch swingers, like contact guys, like where their weak spots are, like where they have holes and stuff like that. Just getting to the field, mentally preparing yourself to go grind out 9 innings and try and, get a win and do the best you can. Every single day you walk in there, like I pretty much know my catching schedule right now, but so when I get up in the morning, I kind of figure that I'm going to be catching today. And, you can start game planning, honestly, as soon as, you wake up and you just start thinking about stuff, and, it sticks with you all the way to the field. And then once you get there, you have a pretty good game plan before you head out there. And then you got to see how the pitcher is during his warm-ups in the bullpen, and then how he's doing like the first inning, and you kind of just get a feel for what he's feeling. And then you can make a pretty good game plan off of that. For, like Q last night had a really good curveball. Fastball was playing up in the zone well, so we played a fastball off the curveball, and then later in the game, once they started seeing the second time around or the third time around in the order, like we started introducing the split finger. And, it's stuff like that where you just don't give them everything at once. Like you don't show all of your pitches. You have them start thinking of like one or two pitches, and then you start incorporating a third one. And now they're thinking about three instead of two, or even one pitch. And that kind of helps you out. But yeah, it's a lot of like game planning, a lot of mental, game planning, and just trying to outthink the other team and outthink the hitter. It's mentally wearing after a while, but it's really not that bad. I mean, it's nice. I mean, it keeps you engaged a lot. And even when I'm not playing or DHing and I'm just watching the game, it's trying to find tendencies that hitters on the other team have for when I am behind the dish, trying to help out my pitcher that night, and even help out the pitcher that's pitching that game. If I see something from the dugout and, they're not seeing it, like I'm just trying to, help them out, talk to them and see what they're thinking.
Okay. Well, you talked about Luis Quinones, bases loaded situation in last night's game, and able to get out of it. But, it's also, you have to work with him too to try and get out of it. So, I mean, it's been known that Luis certainly has the raw materials, the great stuff to work with. But how are you able to work with him through that despite battling control problems a little early on?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he runs into that when his tempo isn't very good. We always try to keep him on the mound and trying to, really move him through the innings just so he can keep his rhythm and flow going. And I think once he gets off of that is when he starts having a little bit of control issues. But he's always, I mean, like he's pretty easy to catch. I love catching Q. I catch him pretty much every start. And him and I know each other pretty well. And I kind of have a feel for like what he wants to do in some big time situations, what pitches he likes to go to. He really trusts his fastball. He added in a slider that's really good this year. And then obviously the split finger is, devastating sometimes when that thing's on too. And, just knowing like what pitches he likes to go to, he's very confident in, and knowing that we have a pretty big situation really early in the game and we kind of need to get out of this with one or no runs, and just go to his strengths, know how he pitches, know what makes him successful. And, he's a true strikeout pitcher. I mean, he really doesn't give up a ton of ground balls, a lot of fly balls, but he strikes out a lot of dudes. And obviously he takes some pitches to get there, but if he gets in a good count, like he could put people away pretty quickly. And obviously in those bases loaded situations with no outs or one outs, like you need to get a strikeout or, a weak fly ball that's not too deep into the outfield. And last night he left a pitch hanging that went pretty deep, that got one run in, but still getting out of that inning with only one run, it was pretty good for us. And obviously we came back and had a pretty big fifth inning. I believe it was 2 runs on Schneider's homer, and Rivera's single in the 8th inning really helped us too. So that put us ahead, and just trying to keep us in the game. Honestly, like during those situations with bases loaded and no outs, I'm just trying, I know 1 run's probably going to score, and I'm trying to only have 1 run score and try and keep the guy on second base from scoring, and just trying to call a game to that. Like if the guy hits a sac fly, he hits a sac fly, but that's 1 out with guys on second and third. And, we were in the lower part of their lineup at that point. So I know that we could have gotten 2 or 3 strikeouts, but, it didn't happen. We got 2 strikeouts the end of the inning, I believe. But then after that, it was pretty much zeros up on the board after the whole game. And I was really happy with Q and his performance last night for sure.
Well, you certainly played a role as well, picking off not 1, but 2 runners. Yeah. That's got to be like catcher's favorite thing to do. Yeah. Always getting somebody caught napping at second base or throwing them out outright. But you picked off 2 runners at second base. So that was a pretty big key to the win for you guys last night too.
Yeah, it was big, and a couple of big outs definitely to get us rolling, to get out of the inning. Leadoff double, kid was getting too big of a secondary lead, and Dalo and I were communicating just pretty much eye contact, knowing that he's going to be there. And I got a high fastball that kid took, and I was able to make a good throw on it. And backpicked him to get 2 outs in the inning, or 1 out in the inning. And then, Q got through that inning pretty easily. And I think that was his last inning of the game. But, the second one was a high slider that a kid tried to bunt and he missed it. And the guy on second base was definitely committed to third. And then he put on the brakes and I threw behind him, and he just went to third. We threw him out there, and that really helped. And then the guy trying to steal home last night, Iser did a great job. He just came set and threw. I called a curveball, so I actually remember that play really well. I called a curveball, and I don't know how he did it, but when he came set, he got a fastball grip and ripped it at me, and I thought it was going to go like a little bit of a hump because he had a curveball, but he somehow came set up a fastball grip and threw it perfectly right to me, and the kid was dead to rights. So that was good too. That really helped us out a lot.
All right. Well, we talked about Luis Quinones. I'd like to talk about Adam Kloffenstein. You caught him his last start. He really grinded his way through it, but when all was said and done, a quality start for him. And, in fact, he's only 20 years old and, still learning his way, you're able to help show him the ropes. What's it been like working with Adam Kloffenstein in 2021?
It's been very interesting. Kloff is an interesting person. He's obviously loved by everybody in the clubhouse. He is young. You can tell sometimes that he is, but he's smart. He's a very smart pitcher. And I love working with him. I think that, he's going to be a really good pitcher in the next couple of years. And once he starts learning his craft and really honing in on, throwing a lot of strikes, knowing that his sinker is going to get a lot of ground balls, and just, pounding the zone with his stuff, he's going to be a pretty good pitcher. And I think he's starting to understand that he doesn't have to strike out 10 people a game to have a good start. And, those ground ball double plays that he can easily roll are going to help him get through 5, 6, 7 innings pretty quickly. And even on Sunday, I mean, he struggled a little bit, but, the sinker and the slider and the curveball really helped him get out of some pretty tough situations. And I think he's starting to realize that, when he makes a good pitch and he executes it well, then good things happen, and that he doesn't have to try and strike everybody out to have a good outing. He's going to get his strikeouts, but I personally don't think he's a strikeout pitcher. I think he's a weak contact ground ball guy, kind of like a TJ Zoik almost. I caught him a couple times too, and he reminds me a lot of him, just a big body dude, and gets down on the mound and, throws a pretty heavy sinker with a good slider off of it. And I think once he learns how to work those two together and really start pounding the zone with both of those pitches, he's going to find a lot of success. And he's added a changeup and a pretty good curveball to his repertoire. So, I mean, he's going to have 4 pretty decent pitches to work with as a young starter. And once he figures that out, I think he's going to have a lot of success for sure.
Well, I don't want to run down the entire pitching staff because we could be here all day if that's the case, but I would like to, pick out a couple of names. I think Paxton Schultz would be one. Parker Caracci would be another. I know you've had a lot of pitchers to deal with. I know some have been injured, like Nick Fraze and all that, but if there's any pitchers you want to talk about or someone we should be aware of.
Oh, Paxton for sure. I think Paxton has been a great addition to the Blue Jays org, and it was a great pickup from the Brewers. That kid is filthy. He's nasty. His stuff just moves everywhere. He's a bulldog on the mound. He has a mentality that nobody's going to beat him, and he's a grinder. I mean, the dude just goes out and throws seven shutout or 7 1-run outings every single time. Lately, he's been getting kind of touched up, but him and I pretty much catch him almost every time too. And, just knowing what he likes and what his game plan is. And, he has a really good sinker, good fastball, 4-seam fastball up in the zone. And he likes to play the changeup off of the sinker. And then he has that devastating slider that just wipes people out. And, once he's on and he just rolls with it. And, his mentality is great. I think him just trying to attack everybody and just, make them prove that they can hit him really helps him out. And I love catching Paxton. I mean, he's great guy, awesome dude, and just really grinds it out on the mound and gives us 6-7 great innings every single time he pitches. He's a really fun guy to watch, honestly.
Parker Caracci, be quite honest, I'm surprised he's still with Vancouver. I think he's ready to go to New Hampshire at any moment now, but talk about what it's been like having him in the back end of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that, you have a lockdown guy in the back of the bullpen is always nice, especially in a close game. Him and Justin Maese too. I mean, they're both filthy back there, and knowing when they run out that it's going to be a tough at bat for 3 or 4 guys in an inning is just nice to know. I mean, they all pound the zone too. They got really good stuff, and hard cutter, hard slider, really firm fastball. They both have pretty heavy sinkers, or Maese has a heavy sinker, but Parker has a heavy cutter and a heavy fastball that doesn't really get hit very, very hard. And I think they're both great. I mean, they pound the zone. It makes it easy to call a game with them, and really at the end of the game, knowing that they're out on the mound, it's a good feeling for sure. I mean, it's just like that sometimes when they're on, the hitters literally have no shot of hitting the ball.
All right, my final question for Vancouver overall, it's been up and down season. You guys are battling for first place and now just trying to battle for a playoff spot. But what are you expecting for the second half of the season?
Really good stuff. We started out on a great note, 3 wins in a row in the last 3 games. And, getting some guys back that were here in the beginning, like Fraze is coming back on Thursday, I believe. And, just having some new additions that have been helping out a lot, and just trying to get our guys healthy and ready to make a playoff push. And, we only got 59 games left. I mean, anything can happen in that time span, but we're playing some good baseball right now. I think that we have a really good shot to at least catch up to second and make a run for first place. And, we're playing the Everett Aqua Sox at least 3 or 4 more times. So, they're in first place right now. If we have some really good series against them, we can make up some ground and, just try and play our baseball. I mean, we're a good all around solid team. We play good defense. We just got to stay locked in at the plate and, do what we need to do. And, we got some boppers on the team. We got some guys that are going to get on base. We got RBI guys to drive us in. And, I think we're a pretty well-rounded team, and I think we know that. And I know that we know what we do well. And, if we play our game, then not a lot of people can beat us, to be honest with you. We can put up 10 runs, we can put up 5 runs, and then we can shut you down on the mound. And, we play solid defense. I think we're one of the best teams in this league for sure. And, playing against Eugene, playing against Everett, playing against Spokane, we match up well. I mean, obviously they got some good pitchers in their staff, but, our hitters are good too. We have some really good hitters on our team. And I think that, people recognize that. And lately we've been getting pitched pretty tough and, not seeing a ton of fastballs, just trying to battle out some at bats late in the game and really make a push for first place. We don't want to be in second place. We want to have that home field advantage during the playoffs for sure. And especially if we're going to be up in Vancouver, that would be the best. 2 games at Nate Bailey Stadium would be unreal during playoffs. So I think you're going to see some really good baseball in the next 2 or 2.5 months. And I think that you're going to see some guys really start grinding out some pretty good seasons to end it. And me included, I think we're all pretty excited and ready to get after it for sure.
Ryan, thanks a million for this. I know I've taken up quite a lot of your time. Thanks a million, much appreciated. And, Lord willing, maybe we will get to see you in Vancouver before the season is out. And as you mentioned, maybe even the playoffs, that'd be even better.
Yep, for sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time too.